Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So we have a special guest this morning. Mr Fudge has come in to visit, and we stitched him yesterday, and I can now show you my reasoning behind the dark chocolate ears. There's one, there's of course a second over there. He's got dark face, you can see his dark shadowing around his face, and of course we have a dark tail. So Mr Fudge, thank you very much. You can move along now. Off you go, pussy. That's it. Gentle, gentle. Good boy. Okay, so I finished the little bird bath. Now I just want to move that a fraction down. So yeah, it came up really well. I love the variegated yarn as it sort of drifts through those tones. It worked out quite well. Got a little bit of shading sort of happening, like it feels like there is light bouncing from it. It's not a solid piece. But I think today we might do these bigger flowers, and I really want to try some ribbons. So have a bit of a rummage in here and see what we can find in the way of colours. Sort of need something that matches, of course. So some soft pinks and greys, they'd be pretty. And then some darker ones. I think I might have a play with these. What about this plummy variegated one? Yes, and here's the fudge back. Yeah, I think they're very big ribbons. So those flowers are going to become a lot bigger than I probably anticipated when I sketched them. So, but I don't think that's a problem. There would be finer ribbon in there. Maybe, what's that one? Yeah, so I do have a finer one. I might save that for these little downturned petals, and then we'll go big and bold for the big ones. I'm thinking that's how it's going to go. Whoops. Those scissors really are not much chop. A needle, something that's big enough to thread. Got so many cottons here in the way. We'll put our fudge cotton away. It's sitting here still. Don't need that. We don't need the red. Oh, if you don't stop occasionally and just do a little tidy up, it just doesn't get out of hand quick. I've got stuff sitting on my bin, so I can't even immediately drop a thread into the bin. It's like, it's fudgy. What's the story? You've had your time in the limelight. Okay. All right. Now, needle. That's what we're looking for. Get rid of that. We don't need the yellow. I should have done this before I turned on the camera, shouldn't I? But you know how it is. You just come straight into the room and you're like, into it. That's me. Okay. We need something with a fairly long eye, or a large eye. That might do it. The needle itself is a little small for my liking, but we have to get the ribbon, which I was going to guess is about a 6mm ribbon, through the fabric. Now, a true ribbon embroiderer would probably catch the ribbon in behind without using a knot, but I'm not a true ribbon embroiderer, and I'm just experimenting. So I'm going to just put a little knot in it, then I know it's secure, because I'm not confident that I would have the technical abilities to make sure that it doesn't, you know, fall out. Oh my goodness, there's still not enough room. These projects that are big like this, oh man, You just need so much space. I think all my fabric's going to go to the right, so I think if I move my tools to the left, we should be fine. Okay, now let's think about this. I think I want to do one of those petals that you come back down into the ribbon, like you pin it down with your needle. I like the effect that it gives the edge of the petal. I really like that. See how it gives you that turned look? Very cool. So I guess we just keep going until we run out of room. There's a little kink in the ribbon. Something's gone afray there. What if I pulled the thread in the ribbon? Oh my goodness, it's already going pear-shaped. I'm not sure if these are really good quality ribbons. I've picked them up a little bit all over the place, so I'm sure I'm sure there's different qualities out there, just like you find with threads. You tend to find that some are better than others. So I've just got to pick them up whenever I can because they are not cheap. You don't get a lot for your money. So I tend to just get one here and there. I don't do a lot of ribbon embroidery, but I do have a prompt coming up for Susanna's project. Now, Susanna is from Vintage Blend Studio and she is doing vintage sewing techniques, and I've been nibbling away at one per month. And I'm a little bit ahead of the projects. So I've filmed ahead and they're sort of ready to go, but I think I'm up to June and I think it's ribbon embroidery. Yeah, it is. And I'm a little bit nervous about it because I just can't seem to settle on a design. You put in ribbon embroidery into Pinterest and oh my goodness, it's like, oh, it's a bit daunting actually. Some of them are just, I did find a daisy that I liked. Well, I think it was 3 daisies and I thought, well, I can give that a go. Oops, now that's pulled a little bit too tight. I think I'll get one more in. It's not hard, but it's like everything. Once you know the technique to get the shape you want, I might do another one. I'll come up here with that guy because that last petal looked a bit twisted and malnourished. This petal up the top there, that one there is so big. I think I need another. These are big flowers. They're, we'll put them in the category of sunflowers. Oh, I don't know if this is right. That's twisted. See, my ribbon's starting to get a little bit roughed up now. I think it's time to do the last petal and quit while I'm ahead. There we go. Let's just knot that off at the back. Oh, I'm going through the embroidery, so let's get away from that. I have seen some YouTubers come back through and put a few stitches in the back of their embroidery with just normal cotton to hold everything where it should be, which I thought was a nice little, you know, if you find that it's a little bit loose in the back for some reason, come back through with needle and thread and just do a few little slip stitches to hold everything where it should be. There we go. That's not too bad. Let's get this narrow one and have a go at doing this turned down flower. It's a different pink, but does that matter? No, it doesn't matter. Got to go with what you got. Oops, a little knot, just a little slip knot. And just be as gentle as you can so that you don't crush your ribbon. There we go. Okay, so let's get these little downturned guys. We'll do the one on the top edge. You can't even see the sketch anymore, but I have a vision. I know where I'm heading. This little guy first. Then we'll go to the opposite side. So I sort of want to layer them a little bit. Okay, down you go. That's him. Can't you tell I'm nervous? Steady as the girl goes. Then I'm going to do another one very close to the last, so it starts to look quite dense with petals. Try and sell the idea that we've got a downturned little flower. And then the last one I think is all we need is this one, and we'll slide it into that gap. Now the colour's okay. They don't have to be of the same variety. Just a second little pink flower turned down petal thing happening there. And a little knot. Oh, one more. Always nervous about it, that it's going to come undone. Probably won't, but can't hurt. Now I think we've got enough to go to the other side and try one of those other little flowers. Where are they? Right over here. So once again, I'm going to come up, go back down there. Oh, it's fiddly. They probably use a hoop and make it nice. I've got my one hand underneath the fabric just to hold it ready. So I'm doing it with one hand and it feels a little bit cack-handed, to be honest. It's all good. Steady as we go. I just put 3 little petals on this guy. I think that'll be enough. If you're chasing silk ribbon, the majority of mine has come from Silk Studio. They're on Etsy. And you can get like bundles where she's cut offcuts of all sorts of colours and sells them as a bundle of colours. They're really good to get you started, and just sit down and untangle them all. Well, they're not tangled, but you know what I mean. And wrap them onto a card, and that'll give you just a little bit of everything. That's how I got started with it. And then as I've been out and about in different stores, I've just spotted them hanging, but the ones around me don't seem to have a lot of choice in colours. So I've sort of got the odd one here and there, and I feel like I've covered the whole range that are at my local stores. Okay, let's see if I can get three 3 more little petals out of this remaining fabric, ribbon. I'd say it'll come close. Should do this one down here, leave a gap, and then come up and do the center one. There we go. So I'm on the hunt for a nice design that I can stitch in my panel for the Susanna vintage techniques. Not too hard, but you know, interesting. One wants to have a bit of a challenge. I know there's some things in the book Foolproof Embroidery Flowers that we've been looking at through this project, so there's potential there. Okay, that's not coming out. Okay, just hang on to that little bit. You never know. You never ever know. I don't think I need any more narrow ribbon. I think we've got our 3 little, you know, like I could go crazy and put heaps and heaps of flowers in here, but I don't know. Save it. Save the ribbon. Let's have a look now. Okay, let's have a look at this guy. What's the ribbon there? It's a bit dull, that one. It's like, I don't think we'd notice it. I think I need to be staying with this guy. When you're doing work within variegated coloured cotton, have a little think about what you want to see. You might want to see just a couple little bits of this darker and then get straight into the light. Or you want to keep it fairly dark. Well, that sort of, wherever you put your knot, that's going to be the starting point. So you can sort of control your variegated ribbon a little bit, or your variegated yarn, whatever it is you're working with. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. Now, I'm going to try and get my dark over here, and then it gets lighter around the top. This one here, oh, I can't even see, can you? This one here, if I had my way again, I would have these 3 darker ones down the bottom and the lighter ones at the top. But it doesn't really matter, because I guess the sun could be coming from this side. But let's have a play with this one to see if we can get the darker petals. And I want to make the flower a little bit smaller than the last. There's the dark coming through. Just getting my hand under there to pull that through. Come on, through you come. It's got a bit tight. What's going on? Why have I lost my gentle touch? Let's get this guy. It's knowing when to stop pulling at the fabric. starting to change out of that darkness, so I've shot over to the opposite side and I'm going to try and lay one in here. That one got really tight, so it sort of doesn't look quite right, but we carry on. It will be fine. Petals are fluid objects. That's what I tell myself. Don't overthink it. Okay. Now I'm going to come up that side. Come on, why are you being firm compared to last time? Whoops. I think too, having a nice size needle so that the ribbon can easily push through the hole and you're not putting too much stress on the actual ribbons, you know, through the hole where the needle comes up, because that all contributes to how well those ribbons lay down and look like they're meant to be doing what you want them to do, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Oh, you can't even see. Let's get repositioned here. That's better. See, my ribbon has got a little bit distorted there. So this petal I don't think is going to lay as flat. It's like I've pulled a little thread, but we'll give it a go. I must find some ribbon embroidery courses around the place later in the year and just sort of get a bit of an understanding of some of the technical sides to it all and why they do what they do, and if you do this, you'll achieve this every time. You know, those types of little morsels of information. I think that would be worth investing in. If anyone knows of some ribbon embroidery classes in Brisbane that they've noticed at their local store, even Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, I'd be prepared to travel. Just let me know. Now, I've given this one quite a big eye. Was it intentional? Well, I'm going to say it was, but it probably really wasn't. And then I think what I might do is get some beads and go into the centre there and bead it. I think that'd be pretty cute. Now this ribbon is just got to knot it off. I do have a tiny bit left, but it is starting to break down. See that there? You can see, I don't know if you can see it. You can see through the ribbon, there's these stripes appearing. That's from being pulled through the fabric, and it's just starting to disintegrate. So we won't keep going with that morsel. We'll let it go. I do have a little flower there, so let's have a go at getting a few petals into him. It's only little, but so we got a light area coming first. So we might put the petals then at the top of the flower. I wish I had have thought about that with this guy, because it sort of makes the light look like it's bouncing around a little bit. Doesn't matter. At the amount of stuff going on this panel, is anyone going to notice that the light is not quite bouncing off my petals? I don't think so. I do not think so. They'll probably look at those roses there and go, gee, Corrine, you did a fantastic job of that ribbon embroidery. Look how professional that looks. And I can go, yeah, I did, didn't I? You need not look at, why won't this come through? Oh, because I've pierced the knot. Okay, start again. Yeah, they need not look at the three little flowers just below. They'll just blend into the garden, won't they? Okay, working my way around. Hopefully I've got enough ribbon cut off. That's one of my fears, is not cutting off enough ribbon to do the little job. You know, that's silly. Oh, now I've done something. I've got the back, the knot, the tail of the knot coming through. Bodgy. Oh my goodness. My petals have got bigger. Oh gee. Ow. Needle. So let's get one more petal in, I think. I've got enough to do it, so we might as well. What's happening now? Why can't I come through there? Because I'm into the knot. Oh, see, that's probably why they don't put knots in the back. That'd be why. Keep it as flat as you can. Gosh, they're all over the place in size. Okay, the petal is behind the tree, all right, the previous one. It's tiny, and it's because I went through the knot and I started mucking around. Oh, it's not too bad. See the little one there? Let's just say it's tucked behind the tree, all right? That's our story. Okay, lovely. We have knotted off. We are done. Oh, boy. Is that not stressful? Okay. Might just come up a little bit. I feel like I'm right in your face. Oh, these big projects, they're hard to maneuver. There we go. Got this edge now here. Okay, now what are we going to do? We probably need to do our stem. Now, I think I want to use wool because we need something chunky. Let me grab my wool. It's in the basket. Just here. Oh, I can see a needle on the floor. Oh my goodness. It's just out of control. It's this big piece of fabric is, I think I might use him. Now, I'm not 100% sure what this wool is because I picked it up in New Zealand. It was in a discount bin for $3, so it was too good to leave behind. So I grabbed 2 skeins. And I'm just not 100% sure what it is. To me, it feels like Appleton. but I don't know. It sort of feels heavy, but fine. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. Okay. Let's put that needle away with the big eye. We won't be doing any more of that work. Okay, so let's get some stems in. Might couch them. So I've got to come up between the ribbon and then find a path to the ground. May need to stop and start. I might twist it just a little. Oh, I could make that little guy come off of it instead of trying to find a new stem for him. I could, yeah, attach the little fellow to the main stem. That'd work. So just working my way back up. I am covering that little guy there a little, so I'm just going to manipulate the stem over so that everyone has their little bit of space. I'll go right through to the top. That's a big stitch. It won't matter. I'll make that look like a branch, I think, or a leaf coming off. Okay, so our main stem is intact. I'll come back to here where that big stitch was. We might do a leaf. So let's do just a lazy daisy. That's it. And then we might come back down here and catch in that little guy. So he's part of that main stem, like so. Now, I might just do a stitch there, couch it down where it joins. Now, do I need anything else? Probably not. I'm bashing into the daisy below. Even if I got past him, there's a lot happening down the bottom, so I don't think we need any more. It would make it too clustered in there. If you were going for a very thick foliage, well, you just go for it and you get layers upon layers, and some flowers get covered and it just seems to work anyway, but I'm not doing that dense type of work. If I did, I would pretty much have to go through the whole piece again and add more and more and more. So I just think I'll stay in the style that I've got. So this little guy, I think the stem will disappear. Down into there. And I'll couch in the middle a stitch. And then from there I'll take a leaf out. So let's just make it a little thicker there. And then we can do, there's a thread there, which is coming from a ribbon. That can't be good. Don't pull it. So well, let's get this leaf coming up. I might even get it to touch the petals a little bit, so it's looking a little bit more natural. Yep. Now, let's continue our main guy down. So we get our primary stem into position with a little bit of a stitch here, which I think could be a petal as well. That little node where a little petal and a leaf, sorry, would come out. And then I want to catch this little guy as if he's part of the flower, like so. There we go. Now, that does look like it's in mid-air a little bit, so I'm going to just sneak my needle in down here and just add a stitch in to ground him. Yep, so we know he's there. Now I might end it because it's a bit of a jump to get to that other side, and we're going to catch those other two little roses, ribbon petal flowers on the opposite side. Like, this is a lot of detail, and at the end of the day, you know, I'm probably overthinking it a little, but I think the more you add into foliage, the better it becomes. So this one here, I'm going to put a bit of a slant on it, I think. Yeah, and I'm just going to bring this up here to get that second flower, and I think I'll bring it down side by side. We'll make them two individual plants. That's it. Put a little leaf in there just to break it. I might put another one over here for this little guy. Oh, what am I doing? What a mess. I think I need that stitch there first. I'm trying to do two things at once. Stitch that couched, get a couch stitched in. Start again. Get a stitch in there to couch the stem down, then do a lazy daisy stitch. And all I ended up doing is having the point of the lazy daisy actually so open that it didn't look right. So I just got to reverse my actions here a little. That's it. Now I can put my little lazy daisy stitch in there. I might even go back up to the top and put a little petal, a leaf up here. Just feel like I need to balance it a little bit. Okay. Now I have some wool left, so I might just finish it off up here where I am. I'll probably get a few little strokes out of it, a few little stitches. So let's have a little look. I might just do a couple little extra bits up here. Can't hurt. It's like there's more potential of flowers coming through. Again, same foliage. I'm just going to go down towards the base of that tree. Get a couple in there. Might as well use all the thread. Getting down to the last bit of it now. It does sort of connect up a little. That will do. I think I'm pushing my luck with the having enough to form a knot. Okay. Yep, got it. All right. That's our flowers complete. So what we're going to do now, no, they're not complete. We've got to do the beads, don't we? So let's grab the beads. What will we put in the center? I sort of feel like we need a little pink bead. I think I need to go further afoot to find something. Don't mind those. It's a completely different colour, right? They might be better. They'd be safe. They'd be pretty, but probably stand out too much. I think we'll do those. Or do we do little white centres? Or gold? Or pearl? Like, seriously. Oh, they're not bad either. Oh, they're the ones. They've sort of got a flat, not glossy look, but there's a pink undertone to it. I think that they will blend a little better. And they're small too, because we've got the little downturned petal flowers. So let's have a go at these. We need a fine needle again. Ow. Where is the beading needle? Goodness me. I know it's here. I don't think this one will do the trick. I wish it would, because it must be still in my mat. See, this is how I end up with needles on the carpet, because yeah, no. I might need to go further afoot, because I just at a glance cannot see the needle. There it is. Come on, little guy. See, he disappears. But he's not the favourite, mind you. But he looks small enough to do the job. See, he's tiny. Beading. I do love beading. I love how it brings just that extra texture to your piece. What I might need to do is actually just a little knot on those little flowers. I think the bead might be not quite what I want. But let's get in amongst this big guy up here. I'm probably going to run out of time, but that's all good. We've got 15 minutes, so we'll see how we go. So feeling this needle feels a little bit too thick. If it is, oh no, we're good. So I'm just going to work into the center, just a cluster. I'm not going to worry too much about how they lay. I'm just going to work on getting them in there. I might put 2 on the needle. Let's cheat. Oh, now they're not going through. What the hang? too big for the needle, so I need to look for a nice sized hole. Okay. Could even do some turkey work where you have little threads coming out. This is going to be painful. I'm trying to find beads that slide down the needle. So we've got 3, so that's a good start. Let's have another look for another one. I think my beading needle, the one I like, is beside my chair in the lounge room. I think that's why it's missing in action, but it's so fine. It tends to disappear into the needle pincushion. Okay, so that's a couple of those in position. Let's just knot that off and we'll go to the next flower. Okay, yeah, they suit beautifully. I like that. They're like a soft pink. They're not staring out at me. I probably need a better needle. Look how many beads are going to be needed. Have another look. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? What's that sticking down there? There he is. Come on, little guy. Oh, he's so little. I really need to lay him in this way instead of just poking him in, but you know how it is. You finish and race out the room and just jab it in. All right, now we're cooking. Let's get this big centre done. This is going to be great because I can bead to my heart's content into the centre of this. I probably won't get the 3rd flower done, but I think you'll get the general gist of how it's going to look once we get some beads into this centre. I'm going to thread on 2 at a time because I want a messy look. I'm not worried about controlling where the beads lie. I'm just stacking them. Stacking them in there like the centre of this flower is quite raised. So by putting 2 or 3 beads in at once, you can achieve that. In the process, I've just flicked 10 beads out, but that's okay. We'll get them. Beautiful little bulbous beads. Bandit and Pepper are just running amok past my window here. They're very frisky this morning. As soon as I finish the video, I'll put some shoes on and I'm going to head to the rear of our block and have a play. Hopefully they've worn a lot of energy off, so by the time I join the party, they're not as jumpy. I can always tell what activity's gone on through the night at the back of the block, because we keep the dogs close to the house. They've got an area that we've put in some temporary fencing, so they're safe. They've got a bed and a bit of grass, and and it's under a patio protected from the weather and outside our bedroom door. So I let them out of a morning, they have their breakfast, and then off they go to the rear of the block. And there's quite a lot of trees down there. It was a farm that got subdivided, and there's a lot of trees planted around the farmhouse. And I believe our property is pretty much where the farmhouse was. So you can sort of see where the lady of the house planted over the years. And I've utilised those clumps of gum trees to form beds, basically, garden beds. So anyway, there's a lot of possums and animals around. So, and the ones that move at night, they come down from out of their burrows in the trees and then maybe scamper across the ground foraging for food, and maybe up and down trees all night. And I can always work out where they are and where they're gone, because the dogs immediately go to the trees. Sometimes they'll even look up the tree. It's quite interesting, just watching their behaviour. Occasionally Bandit will grizzle and growl through the night, and he's looking down towards the back of the block. So I often wonder if it's one of those possums or a bush rat mucking around down there, foraging in the mulch. Have we got time? Yeah, we're going to get it finished. Yeah, these beads were the right choice. They've blended really well with the ribbon. It's quite a nice combination. Maybe I should do something along this line for that Susanna piece. I did have a daisy, like I said, picked out, a white daisy. Thought that would be a simple project, but a bit of a fan of this colour combination. So you guys are about to start the Japanese rice bag project at the end of the week. Imagine the sides of the bag. You could do a project of ribbon embroidery, so each little piece was ribbon embroidered, and then you add it to the bag or the box, because I'm making it into a storage container for my desk. There we go. I think that is enough. I might just put a second stitch in that little bead just to make sure he's in. Now, we've got time. We need to choose a thread to do probably a French knot. Or should we do a bead? No, we'll do a French knot, I think. If I've learned anything from Jennifer's book, Foolproof Flowers, is that she mixes it all up on the flower. She doesn't do what nature does, and you have various versions of the same plant and the way it behaves. She would embroider something and then add beads, then go back to embroidery. And yeah, I really like the way that she explores that. That there is very similar to that bead. That's what I'm going to use. Let's get this bead needle away, and I'm going to weave it in the side there. There you go, little guy, you're safe. Let's get a needle and last little job. Oh, the birds. I haven't stitched my birds. I'm going to run out of time. You'll have to trust me on my birds. I don't think there's a video just in stitching those birds. So let's just, I might try one in the center. I might need multiple. Try and do a big one. Something with 5 wraps might do it. Yeah, that'll do it. Nice big knot. And that's it. Now we'll head over to the other two. And then we might turn the iron on and iron it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice chunky knot. That's it. Pop up down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And back down we go. There we go. That's those guys done. And my little birds, I'd love to make them like little bluebirds or something, but that's going to look a bit odd on the panel. They're going to have to be little pink birds or something. How are we going for time? We've got 3 minutes. Let's at least make some decisions. It might be a bit thick. Nice and fine. Oops. Now I could do an outline around them like I've sketched them, but I might even satin stitch them in. So then they look a little bit more feathery. I'll keep the stitches close together at the one end, but far apart. Well, not far apart, you know what I mean, just slightly spaced at the rear of the bird. So it looks like they've had a swim and they're flicking their feathers. And when they give you that little shake. So I'm just keeping it nice and tight around the front, but a little looser. Oh, you're not even on camera, for goodness sake. See how I'm just working my way from the top of the bird down. That's it. So it's just a little satin stitch. Then I might end it off because we might give him slightly different tail feathers. Okay, so let's get this back into position. So it's just a little satin stitch. Pick up another thread. And I'm going to do some little tail feathers. And this slightly darker pink. I've only got a minute left, but that's all right. It won't take us long to do this little bird. So he's got a little tuft of feathers coming out the back of him. Okay. There we go. There's his little feathers. Gosh, it's fiddly work. You forget when you do these little itty bitty bits. And then that's our two colours so far. I might, while I've got this thread on, I'm going to scoot over to the other little bird and get his little tail feathers in position. And then that's that little bit of thread used. We're going to go over time, but it doesn't matter. It seems to handle a 1 hour and 5 minute video okay. This is only a little guy. I might stitch his body too, because you guys sort of missed how I did the body because I was out of shot. So let's just end this pink off. And then I'll probably just get a chocolate thread for his legs and his body. Okay, so a little bit of that paler pink again. Now, I think this is finer too. So that's a number 12, and the tail feathers, the darker pink, was a number 8. So they're just, there's a different thickness about them. You can see it there. So all I'm going to do is just start, let's get my needle in. That gets into position with the camera. Okay, he's a bit bumped into the flower, but he'll be right. So I'm just going to do satin stitch, but loose, messy, and keep it quite close together at the one end, but it can drift apart a little bit at the other end of the little bird. Trying to keep the shape of the little oval so that it looks like he's, you know, got the body shape of a little bird. I'm just working my way down that space. He's only a little guy, this fellow. Not pulling it too tight. I sort of want it to be a little bit messy. Like we want to show feathers and texture, so I sort of think it needs to be a little bit messy. You can come back over your work to get it a bit more height to the body. There we go. So then I will get a brown. I probably will go to embroidery cotton to get just a little strand of it. All the crochet cottons will be too thick. So we might grab this, that'll do, and cut and just get one strand, because you think he's got tiny itty bitty legs. So let's just, and an itty bitty beak, like barely there, but we need something to show it. That petal really is in the way, but I'm going to keep going. Oh, come on. And get a little open tweeting beak. So tiny. It's a nice little detail. Then we're going to give him some little spindly legs because he's standing there on that little perch. There we go. Just tiny. I bet that wasn't even in camera. My seat is pulled away from the desk. That's why I'm not reaching in properly. So you can see the one little birdie there. Let's get his bigger mate sorted. A little chickadee. That beak is pretty big. I don't like that. Let's go from his face out. And then you can judge your distance better, I reckon. Yep. And I think because he's a little bit bigger, we might just put a little bit of chocolate into the pink so it looks like he's got a little eye. Then we can bring his little leg down. It's not attached to his body, so we're going to go back. We're going to try that again. That's better. There he is. Tiny little detail. Oh gosh. And on something this big, for seriously, no one's ever going to spot that bird. Here we go. Now, I just want to turn on the iron. It'll take a few seconds to heat. And I believe it's finished. So let's just give it a little warm iron just to move along those red lines. I'll do it before the iron gets too hot. It shouldn't affect my little silk ribbons because it's not a steaming hot iron. Just enough to knock those red marks out. There we go. I love it. That nestled in really nicely. I like how the flowers and even the chair is forward a little bit. Pussycat's in amongst it. It doesn't feel like it doesn't fit with the tree proportionately. I think we're reasonable. Yeah. There we go. Done. So let me just tidy up, zoom out, put the needle away before it gets out of hand. So we can have a bit bigger view of the scene. Now let me come up. There we go. That works. It does work. Okay. Yay, we're finished. That is the prompt into the French garden, a water feature. I could easily come through and do little spurts of water up there to make it a fountain, but I don't think I will. I can always add that if I find that when I come through with the next layer to sort of create our next zone, there'll be all flowers come through here. If it feels like it needs that little spurting up in the fountain, I can add it, but yeah, we've got our water feature nestled in there. All right, guys, I will leave you alone now. Enjoy your day, and I will see you tomorrow in the next video. I don't know what I'm going to work on tomorrow. Maybe I start a new project. I sort of have a free pass, and I think I have 2 days to fill. Ooh, this could be exciting. All right, guys, see you in the next video. Bye for now.